I believe today we're talking about the park in Sulphur, Oklahoma regarding Bigfoot, and I just have one take on it. I got a report many years ago from an individual who claimed there was activity there, and as I always do, I looked on Google Maps and did investigations for other reports and reports in the area, and it seemed like a legitimate place where a Bigfoot or a group could pass through for a certain amount of time. There'd be enough food and water and cover, for them to survive for a short amount of time. So I thought it was probably credible. You never know till you go to meet the people, but I went to meet this individual who claimed to have seen one cross the road one night, and he started investigating, and he wanted to be a part of our investigation group. It was the Texas Bigfoot Research Center at the time, and I went up and met him, and we went out to the park and looked around, and there were some food sources and things that looked like it would be good. So our other team members in Texas decided we would travel to Sulphur and do a night investigation. We did that. He had a couple of friends, and we sat out there a couple of nights and didn't hear or see anything, which didn't mean they weren't there, because from my previous, looking into the area, it seemed that there should be or there could be. But as time passed, maybe this individual was seeking, recognition or wanted to have people around to talk to. So just long story short, stuff started to be hoaxed. And there were some hoax tracks that were not Bigfoot tracks. Somebody in his group had a big bunion on their toe. And we were crossing a wet creek one day, and this guy took his shoes off across the creek, and as he stepped out, we noticed there was a sizable bunion in his footprint, and later on they gave us a plaster cast of a Bigfoot track with the bunion in the same place. So we knew that was all nonsense. The plaster cast they were giving us were human. And one night, individual called and said, there's dozens of Bigfoot out in this pasture. And a fellow researcher, a friend of mine, went out there, just took off and went out there. And he got out there, and it was a bunch of deer laying in a big grassy area. And all they could see was the eye shine, and they assumed they were Bigfoot. So things just got worse from there. Eventually, there was a dam, I believe, to a lake where the water ran across, and there was a porta potty there for hikers. Well, it seems that there was this huge Bigfoot, and I think his name was Albert, and he would come up to this porta potty and watch them from behind or over the porta potty. So they knew there was a big male there. Eventually, they got this big male to come out more and more, and it brought its family out, its wife and children, and they would sit on the opposite bank of this creek, and their baby Bigfoot would play in the water. So the witness claimed that one day he had a Snickers, and he shook it at one of the baby Bigfoot, and the baby Bigfoot come across the creek and took it out of his hand and gave him a fist bump, and then went back and jumped in his mother's arms, and they all strolled off into the woods to live happily ever after. And eventually, we kicked these people out of our group, and the guy that run the group told the guy, said, if Mother Teresa told me some of the stuff you told us, I wouldn't believe her. So it was a bad experience up there, and we never went back. But having said that, I would say I wouldn't dismiss the area because there could be some up there. And that's basically my experience with the park in Sulphur, Oklahoma. I guess if you wanted to look further, in my book, Hunting Apes in America, short part, Hunting Apes in America, My Life as a Bigfoot Researcher, I have a chapter on beware of hoaxers, and I give 2 or 3 examples that if you want to be a Bigfoot researcher, you might want to write down what I put in my book, because over, 22, 23 years of doing this, being in the various organizations, I've done a lot of reports, and some reports are just obvious hoaxes, and you can tell by what I write in my book. You can tell the written report, talking on the phone, you can tell they're hoaxing. Going to the area, you can tell that they're starting to hoax, and that's unfortunate. It really wastes our time, and a lot of people, I think, initially see a Bigfoot once, but then investigators start coming to their house or the area they claim to have seen a Bigfoot. Once they start coming every weekend or every other weekend, they get that recognition, and they don't want to stop. So then they start inventing more and more and more stuff that they claim are happening, and then it gets way off the rails, and it's time to quit. I caught some heat about talking about the Danny Sweeten video in my book and thinking probably it was real, but the same thing could have happened with him. I think he really did initially see a Bigfoot, but then later on I think he probably hoaxed the video. And my friend Lyle Blackburn and I talked to a wildlife biologist last year, and he claimed he knew that his first sighting was a hoax because the area that he claimed to have seen it couldn't possibly support a Bigfoot, and I didn't even know, where the area was. So there's a lot of instances where people are fooled, like the Minnesota Ice fan, and the list goes on and on. There's just hoaxers that waste their time, and then there's legit people that we need to spend more time with. So it's a shame to do that.